welcome back to Our Man in Prague. And one of the great things of living in the centre of Europe is it's very easy to get to different cities. And this weekend we are in Berlin. So the first thing to do is we're going to find the metro station and hopefully get a one-day transport ticket that'll keep us going until tomorrow. And we're at our first stop now. It's the Nordbahnhof, and apparently this is a station that'll take you back in time to the old communist days. We don't know that much about it, but we're going to check it out now. So this station here, Nordbahnhof, used to be a ghost station. So basically it was a station that no train stopped at because people would use it to escape during the Berlin Wall time. And moving on from Nordbahnhof now, we're going to the Berlin Wall Memorial. So we're just approaching the last remains of the Berlin Wall. Now I didn't see this last time I came, 18 years ago, so it's very interesting to actually see the last remains of the Berlin Wall up close. And here we are. So it turns out we're very lucky with the weather today. It's forecast nice and sunny for today and tomorrow. We just stayed overnight. And on the way here it was quite gloomy actually, so we were a bit worried, but it turns out the forecast is right. And we've got sunshine, still a little bit nippy because it's still March, but yeah, great weather. So you see people crossing the Berlin Wall. Wouldn't have been that easy in 1972 or somewhere like that. I'm just going to go straight through it. So these are different elements of the Berlin Wall which have been moved and stacked side by side. And we're just heading up towards the memorial, which shows many of the people who died trying to cross the Berlin Wall. And interestingly, these were the last guys who tried to cross the Berlin Wall and were shot and killed. And as you can see, that was in February 1989. And this guy was in March 1989. So basically they would have only had to wait a few months before they could have just walked over. Okay, this little monument here shows exactly where the Berlin Wall went through the streets of Berlin. So we're attempting to find our way to the next port of call now. So we've found our next stop. This is the Tränenpalast Museum. And that's all I can tell you at the moment, but it's supposed to be very good. Here we go. So this is a replica. If you were going from East Germany through to the West or vice versa, you would have to come through here. Get your passport stamped and everything else checked, and then if you're lucky you would then get through. And this is Friedrichstraße station. This is the main station in Berlin. As I was saying, this is the great thing about living in Prague. It's so close to get to various different cities and countries. Now heading towards the Brandenberg Gate. So we're just approaching the next stop of our tour of Berlin, and we're at the Reichstag, which is the basically the German parliament. So this is the Reichstag building, and it was originally completed in 1894, and it housed the Parliament of the German Empire. And we've just noticed another memorial with some people with the same names, famous for being killed crossing the Berlin Wall. So if you come to Germany, you will always see a currywurst place. This is one. Wurst. Let's have a look at the prices.
Next, please.
Currywurst mit Brotchen, whatever that is. €5, €8, €5 again, 8. Probably quite reasonable. Now we are approaching the Brandenberg Gate. This is a very famous gate to the city, and when the Berlin Wall was in existence, it did split the east from the west. And an interesting story about the Brandenberg Gate is my wife Ivana grew up in communism in Czechoslovakia, and obviously she was on the wrong side of the Iron Curtain, and she did actually come here with her dad and her sisters. They weren't allowed into West Berlin, but they peered through the gates and they could see the colours and the lights of West Berlin. So here is Ivana crossing the Brandenberg Gate like she couldn't do in 1984 or whenever it was she came. And we are now in what would have been East Berlin. Just chilling out now for a minute, and we've found some Berliner Pilsner. I think it's quite decent. It tastes very similar to Czech beer, really, doesn't it?
But it's a nice one, yeah.
Well, Pilsner would suggest it's like Czech beer, and it is. A couple of Trabants there. Trabants were the very famous cars from the communist era, made in East Germany, and they're still used for tours of Berlin. So we're just working out the metro and the transport system here in Berlin, and we bought our one-day ticket. It was €11.60, was it? €11.20, and it seems to work quite well. We just downloaded the app, and we're going to go back to the hotel to check in now. We can only check in from 3 o'clock, so we're about to head back to the hotel and check in. We need U5 here, so let's go down this escalator. So we've got a much more modern station here at Unter den Linden, compared with Nordbahnhof before, which was the ghost station that we looked at. Anyway, we're going to get the tram, we're going to get the metro back to the hotel, check in, and then go out a bit later on. So just arrived at our hotel. Well, we arrived earlier, but we weren't able to check in until 3. I'm going to check in now, see what it's like. Victor's, it's a chain, I think. Yeah, floor. So this is our hotel room for the night. It cost £82 in English money, and it looks decent. It looks very nice actually. We've got a view over the park over here. That's not too bad. Let's just have another quick look round. Big bed, pretty spacious room, nice big bathroom. So yeah, no complaints so far. And the next stop on our tour of Berlin is Checkpoint Charlie. We've just got the bus from our hotel. Transport is great here, it's easy to get. I mean, the bus went straight from outside our hotel, all covered on our one-day pass, and it took us to right near Checkpoint Charlie, which we're going to see in a minute. And here we go, you can see the picture of the American soldier up there, and this is the famous sign. You're entering the American sector. Carrying weapons off duty is forbidden. Obey traffic rules. Well, last time I came, there was actually two fellas dressed up as an American and a Russian soldier here, but obviously not now. People getting their selfies and their Instagram pictures. And on the back of the American soldier is the Russian dude. And here's the back of the sign, obviously saying you're leaving the American sector. And here's an interesting building. It has to be said that Berlin is not the most pretty city like Prague, but it's very interesting and there's a lot going on. Okay, so we're back on the metro. And now we're heading over to the TV tower area, and we're also going to check out TK Maxx while we're here, because they don't have TK Maxx in the Czech Republic. And just checking out the famous TV tower from Alexanderplatz, which is where we are now. And here's the TK Maxx. And here we've got another Trabant. I'm just talking over this music so we don't get copyrighted. Some dudes inside. How do you fancy that as your main ride? Two-stroke Trabant. Here we go. Well, let's be honest, TK Maxx's are pretty much the same wherever you go. And this one in Berlin is very busy. Lots of stuff in it. Anyway, here's the van all spent up. TK Maxx. And the Berlin Television Tower. What more do you need? Is this the one we want, the M4? Okay, we're going to go back to the hotel now. Chill out for a bit before we go out later on. This is the M4 tram that we need. Let's get on it. So just on the way back to the hotel where we're going to chill out for a bit before going out later. We just stopped off for a quick beer in this place here. It's like they're like kind of a cafe rather than a cheap and cheerful cafe rather than a pub or a restaurant. But the prices are very cheap. I mean, we've got Berliner beer again, Berliner Pilsen, and instead of €4.50 like we paid this afternoon, this is the grand total of €1.50. So we're in the centre of Berlin in this cheap and cheerful bar, and the beer is €1.50. And we're off to Speiches Music Club, just getting the metro here. So we're on the metro again, heading back into Berlin, and we're going to a music club called Speiches. Back at Alexanderplatz. So we're just in the doner kebab place that we've just found. They're very big in Berlin because the Turkish population in Germany and Berlin in particular is huge. So they love the kebabs. And this one looks a decent kebab shop to me. So our doner kebab has arrived. It looks a very good doner kebab, I hope. I've got beef and Ivan has gone for the chicken kebab. Anyway, we're gonna skip that one. You literally just could not move inside there. It was just one room really with a bar, and it was absolutely chocker. So we're gonna try and find a normal pub. Right, we found this one called Crossroads here. I'm gonna give that a go. Cash only? We okay for cash?
We have 25 euro.
Oh, okay then. So this is a nice, authentic looking bar. As you can see, a bit quieter. We've just asked the prices because we don't have much cash, and it's fine. It's $3.50 for a Budweiser. So we got told off for filming in that last pub. The bloke who ran the place didn't look too happy. So trying one more bar down here, Badfish Bar this time. All right, so apparently it's left here. This area, I'm not sure what it's called, but this is where all the bars are. You can see the restaurant, Mexican restaurant. This is it, Badfish. Let's try this out. We'll get told off for filming in here. I'll turn it off as soon as I get in. So this is a Badfish Bar. It's a little bit bigger, and we've got this. People smoking again here. And €5 a pint. So this is the most expensive one in Badfish Bar. And if you do come to Berlin, it's definitely worth pointing out that it's generally cash only. So this is a typical Berlin type toilet. Some people might not like it. So that's it, we finished our night in Berlin, heading back to the hotel now. Some interesting places, they're quite small bars really, they're all very busy. Cash only in most of them as well, don't forget. Going back to the hotel now, and then we're going to check out, where are we going tomorrow? Some park? Yeah. Some park with a flea market in, before we head back to Prague. Yeah. And good morning, we've just come to the same cafe that we came to last night, and just had breakfast, very nice. But one thing to note is that they don't take cards in many places in Berlin. So the guy said, well, there's a cash machine next door. So I went to get €20 because we're going back to Czech Republic later. Went to get €20 out of the cash machine. It was one of those Euronet cash machines, the blue and yellow ones, and really I avoid them. And I know why now, because it literally charged me €26.50 or something like that to get €20 out. So it was €26 to get €20 out, and it didn't offer me to decline a conversion. It didn't tell me what it was going to charge me. It just took that out of my bank, which is an absolute rip-off. So whatever you do, don't use the Euronet, the blue and yellow cash machines that you see all over Europe, because they are a rip-off. Anyway, we did find a normal bank that didn't rip us off. Thank you. Bye. So it's Sunday morning on our weekend break in Berlin. Got up quite early, we had a good night last night, and we've come to Mauerspark, which is a very famous park here in Berlin, with a big flea market. We're going to check this out before going back to the car and then heading back to Prague. Record shop there, he's just opening up. Must have some bow here. I can see the Arctic monkeys. So just checking out the market, and so far all kinds of stuff really. So Ivan has come here looking for some vintage clothing stalls. Not seen any yet, but I'm sure there's going to be some here. Plenty of clothes shops. Yeah. So Ivan has found some clothes in this shop. Just going to pay for it now. €7 for the two. No, one was 7, one was 2. Reminds me a little bit of some of the markets in Asia. You've got places to eat, bars opening already. Sorted.
Yeah.
We just noticed if you're stuck for sunglasses, they've got a few here. Look at that.
And they're in.
I very much doubt they're real. We're just finishing off at this flea market now. Ivana got a dress and a top, and I've actually got a denim shirt. So, result, we're going to head back to the car soon. We're going to get the tram back to the car, which is at the hotel, and head back to Prague. That's it, overnight stay in Berlin done. We're on our way back to Prague now. One thing I would mention if you're coming to Berlin is make sure you bring cash with you because you're going to need it. And yeah, this area is great, not too far from the centre. Good weather as well, we're very lucky. And off back to Prague now, so I'll see you again soon.